Watcher.
I'm just going to need 1 sec, so I'll be right back.
No problem. I'll do a little intro thing. Hello, everyone, or everyone about to join. I'm watching this later on the VOD. This is another game of L5R World Cup 2020, or L5R Disco World Cup 2020. Round 3, we have Canada taking on the Netherlands. This time it'll be Zarzuckett representing Crane for Canada, and the doji Erick, who is our former Shogun, but Shogun of our hearts, I guess, in representing the Unicorn Shiro Shinjo clan, my favorite Unicorn clan, the one I always try to make work and fail miserably. I'm sure Erick will have a better take on it than me. Here in round 3, I have a very special co-host, Brian Murphy, Focus Strike podcast with me. So Brian, what do you think of these deck lists, this matchup, Netherlands as a country, whatever you want?
Well, first of all, Netherlands is awesome. I visited there while I was in Belgium for visiting my parent corporation, so that's a thumbs up. In terms of the deck, I always love Unicorn. Go Unicorn, except in this case. This is the Scouted Terrain deck. Each one of them is slightly different than the others, but basically this is a game that's got the Forged Edict, it's got the Calling in Favors, which is very common for that build. Just so that when they want to push it through, they can. This is usually a very quick game. It usually goes to turn 2 or 3, at which point they're launching an attack at the strongholds and trying to win one battle that ends the whole game.
Okay, so we see the flops. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a very interesting deck compared to like historically what we've had in L5R. So we see the flops in terms of there was a 3 mulligans from Zarzuckett on the Dynasty, one and one from Erick. We see Dazzling Duelist come out, like a fairly low cost investment for a very solid character for Crane. Shinjo, I'm sure they just want to get enough characters to flip provinces. Yeah, so we see the Shinjo Gunzo pull out a Utaku Infantry. So there's 2 characters for a fairly reasonable investment. Of course, there's no City of the Rich Frog or Toshi Rambo or anything nice like that to get Shiro Shinjo off of 6 Fate on their first turn. So Erick may elect for the pass here or not. We'll see. And he does. So he's got his 2 characters to flip provinces, and then we move forward. Matchup-wise, Brian, how do you feel about who's favored in this one?
Well, I would actually put the advantage at in this particular one. I think it's going to be advantage Unicorn, just because this is a particularly heavy kill deck for the Crane. So really what this game hinges on is, one, did Crane draw an assassination in their opening draw or their opening turn so that he can't get 2 attacks off? That's usually a big one, to try to limit the number of attacks they can get to flip over provinces. And also, he did buy his Dazzling Duelist, which is ideal against Unicorn, because he's a one guy who's small enough to scoop a province, so he can look to see what he's going to break before he decides to break it.
Okay, just to update people with what's going on in the chat. So the chess clocks are mandatory in Discord World Cup, so they have to remake the game. So all that's still valid, except for maybe the first turn play-by-play there. So we'll just have to jump back in. And
okay. We'll hit the history rewind button.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll be right back. But at least that gives us more time. We can actually talk about the Kaka Crane, or as I call it, like, what is it? What's after Cube? The CCCC.
I don't know.
It's like somebody fell asleep on the keyboard.
So this is the Scouted Terrain deck you were already talking about. I just wanted to show people while we have a few minutes of setting up.
Okay.
Just what exactly is in it on the screen here. Some interesting, like, we got the Twilight Rider you don't see every day. You got the Merchant of Curiosities. There's definitely some interesting stuff in there because it's on Forge Edict, right? So
yeah, well, the Merchant of Curiosities is actually one of the key cards.
Yeah.
Because you need it to, basically it's there primarily because, one, it's going to cycle to look for Scouted Terrain, and 2, it's going to count.
Yeah.
So it actually fulfills a key role in the deck.
So
most of the other cards,
stuff, and we'll see Temple of Dragons, which you don't often see, etc. Right?
Yeah, basically what the hope is that the person who hits it is going either for Void, because they don't really care if their guys live through the turns because they're going to play most of them on the Discord again, or Earth to get them free card draw.
Yep. So then, okay, and then we come over to Kaka Crane. As you mentioned, it's primarily a kill deck, so lots of stuff in there to support that.
Yeah, I think in this matchup to help the Canadian side, the most important characters they're going to have is most likely it's going to be Hantai Satori. Satori is going to be very important for that second or third turn when they go military at the stronghold, and same with Kuwait.
Now, one thing I do see is jumps out at me is, huh? What's that? Is the Market of Akaza no Kami is in there? Um,
Yep. Well, that card hosts me at Worlds, but
yeah,
yeah, it's just a free bow.
yeah. Okay, so jumping back to the game. Okay, we see another flop. Dazzling Duelist is back, so you may see him and Shinzo Gunzo. So really, it was not much of a restart. We see Shinzo Gunzo bot. It's just who goes first, I think, is the difference. Going to be the difference here. If there's any viewers in chat, can you let us know? I'm very paranoid about audio and levels, and you can hear us both. There's two of us, so hopefully that's very self-evident. But if it isn't, then that's a problem. So if anyone is in the chat, let me know if the audio is okay and you can hear both of us.
Crickets. Nothing but crickets.
Yep, exactly.
So I hope that it's not because they're asleep. It's just because they're not there.
Oh,
Oh,
Amatron's there, and he gives us the thumbs
yes.
up. Yay! Hero of the hour.
Success. We can
Not
only
to
botch
worry.
this so many times.
We see Doji Challenger bought a second player. Obviously, it's a very good character, but not as strong as if you're going first. But Yasamura, I suppose, is gonna force. So that looks like
Yeah.
that forces Erick into the third character. He might have wanted to buy it anyway, but because the challenger will eat up the second character's province reveal, the
Yes.
challenger will pull someone in. So
Yeah. The other key thing for most of these builds, I'm just going to see if it's got it in here. Yeah. It's got 3 times stay, mostly to help push through key events at the final province to deal with defend your honor.
for honor, yeah.
But he does have them, which also does hamper the crane because they just go off and give him free cards.
Right, and this is Elton Sinai's Vanguard. It's not a card. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. This is kind of another interesting one that's included in this one. So I'll just mouse over it and give people a chance to. During conflict against province, one more rings claimed on it. So this is like strictly for a clan wars type thing. So its ability really doesn't have much relevance, but it's a cheap 2-0 military character essentially. So we see Yasamura head in. He coverts a Dazzling Duelist who will no longer be able to defend this round, and hits Upholding Authority, which is excellent for a 2-strength military character.
I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm interested to see what Cray's going to do in this scenario because one of the good things you have against this deck is you can pretty much let him break whatever he wants because he doesn't care about breaks.
Right.
He's going straight for your stronghold anyways, and breaking Upholding is kind of useful because you can start filling his discard in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. But I think the Void Ring getting rid of the challenger is probably worth the challenger defending against it kind of thing.
Yeah, I can understand. It definitely makes sense from an analysis point of view. This is probably why he picked Void, also to protect his own guys.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard Erick called many times the value bot. So, and Void is very much the ring of value.
Yeah, with all those one-faded characters, definitely it speeds things up.
Let's see what the Duelist is going to hit. It's always so, like, the Duelist is such a annoying character to play against because he's got such a duel that you don't really care about winning, and it's basically just makes him a 4/4. So you just don't want to block him ever. It's one of these characters like, just let him do his thing. I don't want to be near him. Hits Pilgrimage. We'll see if he's got the pumps to get it bonsai.
Yeah.
Indeed, that'll do it. That'll be the pump necessary to break.
You always have to worry about bugs going on a pilgrimage while screaming at the top of their lungs, charging into battle.
There were a few conflict characters in Erick's deck, but I don't think he wanted to because there was also another additional 2 from the box. And the
Well, 2 are only coming. The 3, the Shinobi Wayfinders, should only show up at the final battle.
For sure.
The ambushers are only there to protect against like a badly timed Upholding Authority.
Yep. So it would have been a tough one to win anyway, but also like a costly investment. Yeah. So there we go. There's the Market of Kazunokami turning the Gunzo. So stopping the Earth Ring for now, but I mean, Shinjo just wants that flip, right? So they get that second flip and a farmable province later on, should they want to. But
Yeah, they won't farm. This deck is far too fast to farm. It should be a T-shirt. We don't do agriculture.
And then we see Chasing the Sun, all kinds of cards we don't get to see very often, which lets us
Yeah,
move to
this
another province.
when you see that one so early, you're pretty much looking at the fact that he's probably got all the other necessary components in hand.
Hmm.
So he's looking A to get money, and B to make sure that his second attack of the second turn has to be respected as potentially being straight on box.
Right.
Also, it makes the Dozy Challenger's attack more scary because if he hits the Border Fortress, he could be on the box at the first attack of the
Yeah,
turn.
that's next turn. And we have the In the Forbidden City was flipped, which is for discarding attachments, not very relevant here.
Yep.
So this Challenger does represent a pretty good chance of a second break for Crane, though. So I
Yes.
mean they're ramping up their own clock as well.
Well, one thing about this Unicorn deck is it's pretty much paper. You could throw any province and it will just shatter. It's designed that way. It's like the provinces aren't here to do anything else other than explode and like be a pain.
So we get
There's
Temple
the
of
Earth
Dragons.
for the Temple of the Dragon.
Challenger comes in, Temple of Dragons. Um, and yeah, might as well block. I mean, this is not going to do much at all, but he can be pulled in regardless. Plus, favors going to Crane. Uh, Cards get discarded. We see the bonsai, second bonsai get tossed, which is pretty valuable since the military. It'll be largely a military track, right, on the Crane
Yeah.
box. Um, so card advantage. We have two fate advantage for the unicorn, which will go up to an additional two more, so it'll be four fate advantage plus one card advantage. But unicorn is down two breaks, so I mean the four fate can funnel directly into Chasing the Sun. Now,
Yeah.
Crane does have Voice of Honor on currently, and unlikely to
Yes.
lose that. So Unicorn's gonna have to work around that or take the risk, etc. All cards are tossed for Unicorn. Kawanin is, let's see, I can't see this Disciple of Shinsei being kept, but possibly. Oh, hey, Joe Art. Yeah, it's Brian Murphy from Focus Focus Strike. Unless you consider me the guest commentator. But no, I'm Shane Ruman, and Brian Murphy's the one providing all the excellent insight into the decks and that type of thing. Sure.
Well, I will say this is a good flip for the Crane from an analytical point of view. It doesn't really have the money to take full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's Satori and Kawanin. Kawanin is very handy in this because he does bow out people at an incredible rate, as well as he's an 8 beat stick.
Absolutely.
Satori is almost better
Yeah.
if he comes out with Fate because you can stockpile him for future turns.
I agree.
And
he's also got the second Challenger, which you might opt to go with because then he can suck up a lot of the board. And he has three duelists for his Kakita Dojo. So
yes,
uh, Unicorn is not bad. I mean, sure, the Gunzo's less valuable, I think, here, but with the Yutako Infantry, it just gives him more fuel. Although I'm sure Yutako Infantry will end up fighting with the Challenger. And then there's Tetsuko, which you might want to. I mean, I'm sure she'll
well
be
that's
easy
his,
to defense, but next turn she'll be very valuable for a push.
yeah. Well, there's already two in the discard, so it just depends how much Fate he wants to make.
Well, the problem is we have a Kill Crane deck, right? With
Yeah,
has drawn well at the end of this turn probably will have drawn 15 cards and hasn't used any kill pieces yet. So
yeah, it's going to turn in there. I mean, the one disadvantage is overall is that it's your kill versus my cavalry reserves.
mhm.
That's one of the other advantages of Satori. He's got pride built in, so it makes it really easy to build up a superior honor position to
Right.
make sure that your cancels don't get turned off.
Mhm. Okay. So
Unfortunately for the unicorn, I don't think there's any cavalry courtiers.
that's a question for chat for the trivia
Well,
masters
I'm
in
pretty sure
chat.
that there aren't as I play unicorn, and I
Okay.
don't think maybe the countryside trader because I haven't really used that yet. But most of the ones they don't have. Oh wait, some of the E days do. They're like in the 3 range, but there's none in this deck.
Yeah.
That's important because can't bring one back. So if he doesn't see one, he doesn't have any cancels.
For the cancels, yeah, you could even might see one off the Gunzo. I don't know. It's possible. I don't.
Yeah, that's possible. That's what he's going to be looking for. Should he see one, because he needs to make sure that his
Needs the
cancels
forge,
get
yeah.
on board.
Okay, so we see Satori does get by with a single fate. Ooh, this is
this game is going to last more than 2 turns, so
That's
that's a very astute fate management by Czar.
yeah, it's very good. I mean, I'm always tempted to overfate, and
There's the
we know
coacher.
Eric loves the 3 coster with 4 fate play for sure. But I think everyone's looking for this game to be quick and dirty, quick and ugly, bloody.
Yep. Well, the one thing about that's the thing about the Scattertrain deck is it just kind of comes from out of nowhere, just bam, domino. Or as my wife likes to call it, it's the oops, did I win?
Okay, so we have the one challenger who I'm guessing is going to work to get this Utako infantry on the defense. Okay. And I didn't see any Tessons in the unicorn deck, so it might not be available for any sort of attack. Although that's just conjecture because we haven't flipped the 4 provinces and we don't know if that card's in hand, regardless. So
Yeah, no, there's no tested in the deck. It generally doesn't need it because it's only looking for. It's got to make sure it breaks at that last battle.
yep.
So actually, one of the key cards against this deck is the Tea House if you have it,
Hmm.
because any one courtier says, "I'm going to turn off Curve Blade for the turn. I'm going to set those things up."
Yeah. So Lingering's adding a couple to the Eating Negotiator, he says, and the Visiting Advisors, Conflict Cav, Courtier.
Oh yes, forgot about that one.
So I can just have this picture of this visiting advisor is commando style airdropping into the middle of court on his horse, and just like,
Well, that's what he does because he takes someone home with him.
yeah,
So it's like, "Hey, you get on the back. We're out of here."
I have an edict.
Yes. So we should see at least one good match of crazy courtier wars.
Mhm.
I say I can do this. I say you can't, but I say I can.
But look at this piece of paper I hastily scrawled,
Yes,
like on the napkin with the picture of the emperor seal.
it's actually it's just a picture of a happy face. It's a happy emperor saying that I am in charge.
Crudely drawn with crayon. Look.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, we actually drew those up. There was an old dragon deck in L5R for people who remember that game who created rings when he entered play. So we started naming them the One Ring, the Ring of Happy Face. Just do it randomly. It's insert some personality into your games. Always makes it more fun.
yeah, it should be like a legacy game where you get to draw out of
Okay.
those cards. So
So
the
is he
attack's
going to
coming
hit
in
border?
after some thinking. 5 to 5 bid. Pretty hefty attack given what's unicorn, what Crane's representing on the board. Because that Dazzling Duelist will probably be pumped up. So we're looking at like just on board here, like 9 military heading into upholding. So I'm guessing unicorn will let him have that.
Well, either way, one of his cool buddies is showing up. Most
Yeah,
likely the Utaku
Utaka
infantry.
infantry. It's going to be there all by himself saying, hey, wait a second.
Yeah,
That wasn't the plan. I was supposed to be with 5 of my friends.
yeah. They're probably going to be. I would assume that the Gunso gets assassinated. The one with Fate,
Yep.
just to make sure that because he's still got the 4 Fate in order to scout this turn.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't, actually, he could do it with Cav reserves if he decides to attack air.
Yeah. But I think at this point, Unicorn is going to definitely have to just think about how they're going to survive this turn, because we'll have a Satori. I guess he'll take the fire ring, so we'll have a Satori on military who represents 10 by himself. Right?
Yes.
So, so yeah, I think
Yep. And it will be a military
plans of hitting the box. You have to wait a little bit before survival.
Yeah, well, that will definitely be a military conflict because that's going to be Consort do under the box. It was unfortunate for the Unicorn player that
We see a challenge on the fields.
fields to eject.
Yeah.
Very, very convenient.
Oh, we see a Doji Challenger. Okay, I guess no interest in breaking up holding authority at this point.
No, you want to keep your 11 cards. That's useful. And now he's dishonored someone on the merchant, so he can't counter. Excellent use of resources. Just to take away the one. Obviously, he's read the deck list.
Always a good thing. There's
Yes.
hot takes on your Disco World Cup. Check the deck list before you play your opponent. Oh, we said assassinate come the other way on the Dazzling Duelist.
Yeah. This is actually one of those things that I understand why Czar wanted cards, because his deck relies on them for his kill actions. However, The fact that he bid so high to not put pressure honor on the unicorn is something that gets there. I mean, he does have the 3 yurts, which he hasn't seen any of yet. So
So with
I
that
don't think
being
there's any in the discard.
so with the third break being quote unquote avoided there, I'm
Yep.
wondering like if unicorn pushes hard on a void ring and pulls it off here, and then just kind of like they'll be on their box defending their box and that type of thing, but it'll be a blank unicorn board and Shiro Shinjo getting 10 fate a turn. It's kind of like one of these things where even if the game does go long, Shiro Shinjo does have its inherent advantage, right? Like,
It does kind of, but the thing is, the way this deck is designed,
mhm.
if you go into the long game, you could drop Scouted Terrain because it's not necessary. He's got only 2 Cav reserves, 1 route, the 3 Ujik tactics is basically the whole deck, right? He's played his only assassination. He's got a couple of bonsais, I believe, still. Yeah,
But I suppose
right.
piles of
And
money could,
yeah,
yeah, he opts
allow you to buy a lot
yeah,
of characters. But one of the things about the crane is they can make a lot out of very few defenders.
that is true. Yeah, they have very efficient cards for sure.
Yeah, I mean the only downside is theoretically that they lost. They don't have any duelists in play anymore.
Yeah, Rash, I agree with you. That was my expectation as well. I have every faith in Zara that he took the most efficient line, having played so many games against him. But that was my kind of naive take on it as well. That he's just going to break up holding, suffer 2 or 3 card loss. Maybe he's got 3 Voice of Honors in hand or something terrible like that, and then push Satori on the stronghold.
Well, there's the air rig, which sets up 7. So now he could do both. So now it's a question of counters.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay. So he's got the 7, so he can chasing the sun next turn, and
He
then
doesn't have to. He can play Scouted Terrain in between conflicts,
right.
which will set up the box to be attacked.
Yes, yeah, this turn.
He could also not. Yeah, but he's got it set up so he can do it if he decides to. He's got enough fate to do that. That cap. Yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, the coacher's been taken offline.
Yeah.
I mean, the downside is, in theory, well, he can't bring him back. That's a bonus. He's got a Twilight Rider, a couple of Twilight Riders, a Moto Youth, and everyone's favorite card, Tetsuko.
Yeah, I'm sure Tetsuko would be the main thing for Cav reserves if she could get in there.
Just because that's why he's got a bank fate.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I think it's just. I mean, you're playing against the odds if you think you can do it without a cancel, right?
And he does have Shade Flood of the box, which is always handy for that final push because you could use it to kill off a character who's too big to be dealt with through any other means. You just know that Miyako's going to noble sack, and that'll be the end of that problem.
I mean, you are going first next turn, so I don't think there's any. I don't know if there's like it's to me.
Well, Unicorn's first next turn.
Sorry, Unicorn. That's what I mean.
Unicorn, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's worth the risk at all to try it this turn, right?
The only way it would be worth the risk is if he has 2 copies of Scouted Terrain in hand, which is very possible, as he's almost halfway through his deck.
Mm-hmm.
So he could drop 1 to see what the Crane player does. Because he's the only defender he's going to have readily available is Miyako.
Yes.
At which point it's like, okay, well, maybe my stuff will get countered. That can happen. But, I may not push with everything.
Yeah, 2, 3.
Yep. There it hits the Border Fortress. So
Border Fortress, okay. So
yeah, so he can't switch it to military, so he's going to push it over probably to the Crane Stronghold to see, hey, Shameful does nothing, but I might as well flip it over.
Yeah. So
always interesting.
Border Fortress breaking. Looks like Satori's going to get real buff for next turn.
Yeah, if there is a next turn. It basically depends. Does he have... I'm assuming that he didn't have the Voices of Honor in hand because he drew so high. If he had them already to shut off the combo, then he could have drawn lower to put honor pressure on as well as race pressure.
Possibly. I don't know given his buying, his dynasty buys, I don't know if he was thinking of Dishonor at all because he's buying for such a quick game.
Yeah, but against Unicorn, Dishonor is always a thing for them. Like, they literally, their whole deck is saying, I can kill myself. This is not a problem. It's also why the Merchant of Curiosities is so handy for that deck, because basically for all those provinces you don't defend, if your opponent also wishes to card cycle, he pays you back the honor for burning your house down.
Yeah, yeah. I just seems like to try to go for a 4 cost event, hoping there's not a single voice. I suppose, but you are banking a lot on you getting the same sort of situation next turn where you just desperately need a courtier. But,
Yep. No, both will be theoretically on box next turn.
yeah. So this will turn voice off, barring anything else, next turn. At the start of the turn. So if
Yes,
Void Ring
which
goes
is
off,
when he.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when he needs his. As first player, he can scout a terrain before away the crane.
mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I gotta remember the timing window on scouted. I think scouted is at the beginning, so we can actually play to the draw phase.
But is it for this entire turn, as opposed to the phase?
I'm not sure. I haven't played it enough. I don't. It never really comes up as a question.
It's not a
I'll
card
take a
I've
look at
ever
that
played.
right now.
I may have seen it.
Well,
On
it's
stream
actually really good.
times.
Yeah, it's during the conflict phase, so he has to wait. So theoretically, you can wave the crane in the in-between phase.
So we do see the assassination on the attacking infantry.
Yeah.
So that cuts a lot of teeth off this attack. There's a Banzai played by Unicorn, Netherlands Unicorn on the Vanguard.
Yeah, just trying to push his number higher.
Oh, defend your honor. What's played?
Yep. It's usually where you should see the stay your blade or stay your hand to get a free card and turn the duel off. Oh, he didn't have it.
Nope.
Or decided he didn't care.
Decided we want to use it now, possibly. Okay.
Yeah. There's never a good time. Well, I guess you might need it for the Kakuna dojo later.
Yeah, and a fair contingent of both the Netherlands team and Canada watching in the game and undoubtedly providing got their own insights to the team members. I love to see that. Team members supporting each other. Okay, Katana comes down to equalize.
One of the few advantages of this deck is not needing breaks. So it's like playing Scorpion, but aggressive.
Yeah, the first Scorpion.
Because I don't need to. All I have to do is keep my promises from breaking.
I mean, you are paying
So
for fate for that privilege. So I don't know if it was a Scorpion card, it would be you take an honor from your opponent and you get to attack their box.
Yeah. Well, actually, their box would just destroy itself.
Yeah.
Say pay for fate, your opponent concedes. Oh,
yeah. So J Mark's
that
letting
card's
us
fair
know that
balance.
it's during the conflict phase is that you can attack the stronghold.
Yeah. After doing some of these games with these shit, I think I got to get you on our podcast to talk about some stuff for community building. Just because this is way too much fun to watch. I like watching all these people show up.
Yeah, that would be a privilege anytime. Yeah,
I don't know who's listening on this.
L5R community building is a puzzle wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in I don't know, something Gokugani I can't think of right now.
It's Nelson's vest. Everything is an enigma wrapped in a vest.
Exactly. So it's tough not to crack that one.
Yeah.
Which is
but now he's got the favor, so in theory, any censure that the crane may have had is not going to work. But really, it's just +1 military.
Right.
And now Satori is no longer super buff.
Yes. All based, all to get that honor token off Satori, which is pretty key. Let's see. Is there any way of the crane? Oh, there's 2. Okay. Oh, but he's not a crane character. Even better. So
never mind. He's been sold beyond reproached.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. How many souls? Yeah, it's 3, right? So
yeah. I was about to say it's like he went back to the gym. He hit the iron.
And these, definitely evident as players who know each other's deck lists, know what the other lines are for the other person, like very high level play. Because, why would you would think on the face of it, why would you soul beyond reproach a neutral character who has his own pride, right in between the phases? But it's all just knowing what the other player wants to do.
One of those weird opportunities where I'm interested to see when Erick decides to time of war or season of war, because this is a horrible flip for him. This does nothing. I mean, the Wayfinder in theory may help, like the Swift Magistrate.
Right.
He needs a courtier,
which he's gotten. Yes.
Yeah, so now it's going to be, you can probably see Quaden for 1 fate.
He's also got the yearning to look at something else too, so this might reveal something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's when he chooses, because I'm looking at the crane board. It's like I would personally pick at that moment was like, I realize he wants the Corcher, but he might want to get rid of Kawanin
Hmm.
because Kawanin is such a beast on defense
Absolutely.
because he's a bow and a kill, like basically all wrapped up in one.
The I mean, of course we're secretly cheering for Canada, being Canadians, but how can you not love this unicorn deck? Look at we got Swift Magistrate. Like every
Oh,
turn, I'm seeing cards I never get to see
if
in
you
the
want
World
to, if
Cup
you want
deck.
a really good description of how the deck works, helping deploying another thing, you can watch L5R Lounge from this week.
Yeah.
Handsome Dad had Christian on,
Okay. Cool.
who is far more insightful on all things unicorn than I will ever be.
Hmm.
Plus, he's a great guy to have dinner with at the Unicorn Clan dinner. Go Mexican food. Uh, but yes, he does a great job of explaining exactly what the deck does. Because when I built my version of this, it was way too combo-rific.
Hmm.
This version is way more stable because it just is like a bowling ball. You start pushing it from the top of the hill and let it roll.
Hmm. So we see the Doji Challenger bot with no fate, and so lots of no fading. I mean, everyone's kind of eyeing up surviving to the next turn, or getting that
Yeah,
win this turn. It's kind of like reminds me a little bit of like when we started in core days. 5R when putting fate on
yeah.
characters was just why would I do that? I can get more characters. Yurt gets sacrificed. We get another of the courtiers, the all
Yeah,
important
Merchant of
unicorn courtiers,
Curiosities.
for 2 honor for each. I guess Unicorn's happy with their 15 fate. 17 doesn't seem much more appealing to them. Kawanabot with 0 fate.
Yep. It's probably going to be the Swift. That's why the Swifty does nothing.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, just keep buying them without. Yeah, it's true. The threat of the Swift Magistrate. How often have we heard that?
The Swift Magistrate is a great card. It's not that they decided their infinite wisdom to say that even though there's a horse in the picture,
It's not
there is
covered.
no horse under the Swift
Oh, well, of
Magistrate.
course, that's standard. Standard. Yeah. So now we see some Seasons of War. Get more courtiers. All the courtiers you
Yep.
need.
Well, now basically, this is the other reason you put pressure on the unicorn, even
Let's
though
get
it
down to
doesn't really
7 in
matter.
Dynasty.
Down to 7 in Dynasty, if he buys the gun, so he uses its reaction. There goes another 3. So basically, he's got 1 card left in Dynasty, and that's automatic next turn.
Hmm.
So if you do nothing except defend your stronghold, you can just wait for him to die from just natural causes.
So I wonder if this is gonna. I mean, they're playing directly for wins now, but I wonder if that will have some effect on the bids. Because if they both hit
Well,
5, then he's safe going to next turn. But Unicorn maybe have some incentive, although they're down on cards already.
you don't want to put yourself in a position where the unicorn is up like 7 or 8 cards.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
It's tempting when you
overall,
want to
you've got
punish that. I don't know. Chat. How tempted would you be to punish the losing 5 honor at the end of the turn?
and Tiogo Dunzo. I would seriously bank on it because if we don't, this game is already over.
Merchant of Curiosity discards calling in favors. Pretty solid. This is
Yeah, yeah, it depends.
so he's gonna get that 1 honor,
Yep,
and he's out of cards.
yep.
So we lose the 5.
More importantly, it turns off his cab reserves.
And we see, I didn't see, yeah, and so Crane did not
That
opt to
that
give him
is
a card. To,
I don't understand unless he doesn't have cab reserves at hand, which is entirely possible. We don't know. But if he has cab reserves at hand and he decided to use that storehouse, that was just bad math. It might be someone needs a Snickers bar.
oh, excellent point. Yeah, the cav reserve is not completely off, right? Obviously, for
Yep,
obvious reasons.
stupid Gunso.
So Chasing the Sun is no longer needed, so it's discarded to the other Merchant of Curiosities.
Yep, doing good stuff there.
So yeah, Yogo's saying he'd
Especially
buy
with
the bodies and bid 1.
well now, I'll probably look at this thing because he's at 3. He knows the unicorn has to bid low.
Hmm. Well, now we have
That
no
it
cav
doesn't really
reserves.
matter.
So if they
Yeah,
Chasing the Sun,
that's
they're
it.
not going to win that fight, right? I just don't see how. Like he
Well,
becomes
if he
honored for
plays,
free, or not for free, but it's like
yeah.
8 a bow. Like it just doesn't seem possible to win that fight
Well,
with what's on the
basically,
board.
he's got to go. He's got to play scouted first. Takes him to 6 fate. Hopefully, get one through because you assume one's going to get countered. So he pushes through for 2 because he's really got nothing else except for this board. That's all he's got
Yeah.
that he can run. Uh, so
So even on
if he
board,
doesn't
he
win,
won't
he's
win the
just going to
fight.
die anyways. Yeah,
I could try to do it on defense. That seems very difficult, especially with the favorable ground there.
yeah. It's virtually impossible to win on the defense based on this scenario. He's got really that loss of cavalry reserves is a huge problem
Hmm. Yeah,
because he could have very easily fetched like 5 characters if he didn't want to fetch Tetsuko.
and J Mart is pointing out that there is Ujic tactics in the deck, and certainly, yeah, Cav reserves, not having Cav reserves would also be a big problem. Now, I mean, Eric, uh, this is not being Eric's deck, or this not being Eric's clan. maybe, maybe the whole Gunzo and everything interaction kind of threw him a little bit there. It's a very edge case scenario.
I've done it to myself enough that I know that if you do it to yourself once, it's the only time you will ever do it to yourself.
And he's playing as Crane too, so I got to question his allegiances. Somebody.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding, of course. But
Well, yes. Well, this is one of the better things about this round's matchup is between this game and the one we did last time. I believe we've done 2 of the 4 games that are not mirrors
hmm
in this round. So that always leads to some interesting stuff. I know that Crane, we have a good local Crane player here who often complains he hates playing against Unicorn. And I always say the same thing about Crane because they're one of the few clans that can totally stabilize a one province. It's like, you're not going to break this province. I don't care how many answers you have. I will just counter them. And my guys are too big for you to deal with.
yeah, those Nancy Fancy Cranes do get pretty big on the military somehow nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, good point. That's the lessons that stick the best. I like to say there's nothing better than losing a game by buying the guns out and saying, fine, you didn't beat me. I beat me. I win.
We see a 2 bid from Eric and a 5 bid from Zarzuckett, so the cards have equalized, and then
As
honors
well as the
equalized as
honor.
well. Just because they're both mill, so I guess you look at the political side of things. 6, 9, 13, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10. Yeah, so you're losing
Well, he's also
on
going to get to
political as
drop.
well.
He's going to get to drop 3 wayfinders into this battle. If he doesn't, he's got to open with Shameful because otherwise he's going to ambush her on turn 1.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
There are
shameful
many
adds an
different
additional
issues.
3. So I was just adding up the totals for political because I think
Yeah.
political is the quote unquote easier one to win with. This is all based on if there's a chasing the sun that goes through.
Well,
Eh,
if he plays scouted trade, he gets to go through. He's going
Scouted trade.
military.
Yeah.
All his pumps are military.
Ah,
Uh oh.
but all the advantage for Crane is also military. Like the bow is on military, the changing of
Yeah, but
pride is on military. Like that's an additional lots of
it
military.
is a lot. But unfortunately, you don't have many options because you don't have any pump on the other side.
Yeah. Here's
So
a
without the pump, you just get killed.
here's a here's here's a mark of shame you don't often see either on the No Fate Merchant of Curiosities.
Yep.
You're not going to force you to gym.
Shame. Shame. This is what happens when you bring your own silverware to a chopstick party.
That's a very curious mark of shame, nonetheless.
Yep. He is totally, totally a curiosity
But there's
based
2
guy.
other. Does that mean we're going to see? Well, one
Mark of
more, I
shame.
guess.
Also, yeah.
One more mark of shame hitting one of these other 2
Yeah, just to
territories.
turn off the wage raider, just to make sure he can't counter.
Yeah.
You want to put it on somebody he might. Oh, he's got 2 merchants of curiosities who could both, in theory, be carrying the same silverware.
There we go. Scouted
I do
terrain.
love.
Voice of
Yep.
Honor, Forge Edict, another Voice of Honor. We see another
Yep.
Forge Edict, and then another Voice of Honor, another Voice of Honor. Third voice of honor. Oh, the third voice of honor. That's why the mark of shame to get the
Mark of
third
shame.
torture.
Sad face, Eric.
Yeah, sad face Eric. Wow, that was so he had all three voices. That's why. Okay, that's why he didn't break up holding for sure. They were
So
probably there
this is the
last round.
important side note to know about this game is that if you're playing with Eric, the created the table probably wins.
So you get three voices in the top half of the deck, and that's why upholding breaking was very very bad. And the gossip is played.
Yep, that's it. That's game. If he can't go to the straggle, it's like he's not facing. He can't defend against that. So
Yeah, and then yeah, I couldn't play the scouted terrain either. So that is the end of the
yep.
game. So a lot of positioning, a lot of back and forth. It was a very interesting game, very unconventional ending, but interesting to watch. I hope everyone enjoyed it in chat. Thanks for being my co-host, Brian. We're
No
looking
problem.
to return later. I think let's see, in about 6 hours, 15 minutes for another Canada game, which is Draz's Canada's Unicorn. There's also a
Oh,
Canada
okay.
game that I can't make at 4 o'clock with the Phoenix Mirror. So everyone, try and watch those if you can. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Brian, anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah. Just wanted to say thank you for having me. I'll see you again this afternoon, and thank you everyone for watching.
Okay, bye everyone.